Yo!
Welcome to Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club of Fairfield, Iowa. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our president, Will Burns.
All right.
Thank you, Vera. And welcome, after a 2-week absence, to our visitors, viewers, and guests at home.
Go!
And of course, our favorite, Toastmasters.
Yeah!
Thank you all for coming out to embrace the mission of Toastmasters to provide a mutually supportive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth.
It's positive, too.
And now, it's my great pleasure to introduce our Toastmaster for the evening, John Morris.
Yo!
I hope everyone's ready for a really big show tonight, because we've had 2 weeks to practice.
Yeah!
All right. So tonight, first off, I'd like to get some reports from the people behind the scenes that are doing all the work. A 1 minute timer report from Bert Shanowski, please.
Hi, I'm the timer, and I'm going to make sure that we stay in 2013. Table topics will be timed at 1 to 2 minute speeches. The green light will go on at 1 minute. The yellow light will go on at 1 minute 30 seconds. And the red light is turned on at 2 minutes and will stay on until the end of the speech. Prepared speeches are 5 to 7 minutes. We do have one speech tonight that will be 12 to 15 minutes. I will turn on the green light at 12 minutes. Turn on the yellow light at 13 minutes. And at 14 minutes, I'll turn the red light on and leave it on until the end of the speech. And at the end of the meeting, I will report on timing, table topics, and prepared speeches. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. The grammarian tonight is Art Atkinson. Art, could you tell us what the grammarian does?
Yo!
Yes. Good evening, Toastmasters. In my role as grammarian, I will be watching for excellent or poor use of English language and reporting on that. And I will be also watching for your opportunities that you take to use the word of the evening, which is resolve. To make a firm decision, usually a significant decision. Example being, today I resolved to get fit in 2013. I'll give a brief report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you.
The awe counter now will give their report on what they do while you're talking.
Good evening.
Jesus.
Toastmasters, yes. My duty tonight is to report all the filler words such as am, like, you know, so, but, and, any tongue clicks, pauses, repeats, and false starts, with the hope that we can resolve all those faults. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Yo!
Thank you, Jesus. I hope all the speakers resolve to not say too many ahs. I would like to introduce now Cindy Trainer, who will be our table topics master for the evening.
I resolve to make this interesting for everyone. I wish and I hope it does come to pass. The purpose of table topics is to practice extraneous speaking or speaking off the cuff. No one in the audience tonight knows what I'm going to ask. They do know the theme, hint, hint, and I'm going to try to stay on the theme. That's another resolve or another, what, revolution? No, resolution. I've been watching too much TV. You know, this revolution and that revolution, too much news. Anyway, who would like to come up and share their New Year's resolution with a little twist? It's going to be kind of show and tell tonight. Will Burns.
Go.
Reach in there and pick something out of the hat. This is kind of a leftover from our magic weekend the week before.
Whoa. That'll stir things up.
Will, please tell the audience how you're going to use this high-tech mechanism to achieve your New Year's resolutions.
Thank you, Cindy. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. This is a remarkable device. It's remarkable because it creates very, very good output. I can recall as a child when my mother used to make whipped cream. I used to love. Now this one doesn't detach, but the ones at home they would, and I used to love to lick the whole thing. They also, so it makes really good whipped cream, as I recall. But the process of doing that is somewhat, I wouldn't say tumultuous, but it requires a certain amount of activity, it requires a certain amount of disturbance in the force. And I think that's a really good analogy for what we all resolve to do, to stir up what we already do. For example, for myself, I have really enjoyed getting back on the weightlifting regimen and eating better, working out. I can really see how this activity is somewhat disruptive. I can't eat the junk I used to eat as much because I feel terrible when I'm at the gym. I just don't get the gains and the success that I really want to get. At the same time, it's really supportive in that doing this, I can see how these gains are actually leading to a wonderful and delicious output.
Yo!
Who would like to reach into the magic hat and pull out their New Year's resolution? Any takers before I start asking? Yes, Slobodan, please. Welcome, Slobodan.
Yo!
Thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome. Yeah. If you want to, you can push that little button.
Wow.
There you go. Now, now that you've got this ingenious device,
Oh, cool.
let us know how you're going to use that to reach your New Year's resolution, how you're going to accomplish it using this device.
Thank you, Cindy. Fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home, and guests, I think the first thing I'm going to do with this, run away. This is really a cool thing. Have you guys seen what this is? No?
Play it again.
It's a fan with a message. Here's the message.
Wow. Safety. What is safety?
Oh, look it. There's more than one message. The leader in safety clean, right?
Yep.
What is safety?
What is safety clean?
That's the resolution. That's my New Year resolution. To find out what is safety clean. And I'm going to use this every day to remind me, hey, work on safety clean. Find out what the safety clean is. Actually, I think I feel like New Year's resolutions sometimes require a lot of work and you start sweating. And then safety clean can help you really. Oh, unless you stop it. So I'm going to use this to cool down when I'm overheat with my New Year's resolutions. That's what I decided. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else want to find out what goodies? Come on up, Scott.
Yay.
There you go. Have fun. What are you? Let us know what you are going to accomplish with those, as far as achieving your New Year's resolution.
Just too much fun.
Your binoculars. How symbolic. How perfect. In the next 2 minutes, we should all think about what we would really like to see if we could see into the future or into the past. What is it we're really wanting? So I think about this story about my past. I was with my dad, and we were down in the basement. He had this little table that pulled out, the wood that he could put between the vise, the smell of glue softly in the background, like everywhere, because we were carvers, we were creators, we were doing something to make a difference. That difference, it really didn't matter what we were creating. It's the fact that we were creating that mattered. You could almost taste the sawdust in the air. It was so alive, so full. If I look now, I can almost see him in the distance. But it's not the past that I see. The smells of the sweat as we're really grinding away, and the sawdust, as I said, birch wood, I believe. What I really see is the future that I'm creating. This year's resolution is about really creating something more, really being able to do something more, to look into the future, to really develop that, to really create something for ourselves and for each other. What is it each of us has the question in mind that we would like answered today? What is the future that we're going towards, that we would like to look in the distance and see? I think about my dad every day, but it's not about him. It's about what I've let him become in me. It's hearing his voice softly. Thank you.
Go.
All right, getting a collection up here, but there's still more to come. Anyone else? Please, we have until 8:25. We've got to fill up the time somehow. It'd be nice to hear from everyone tonight. Come on, Vera. How are you going to use this hat, or maybe it's not a hat, to achieve your New Year's resolution?
Thank you, Cindy. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home and guests. Thank you. For imprint, lightweight value cap. For imprint. Well, I'd like to say this year I wish and desire to resolve to be a better listener. So maybe I'll just put the cap on backwards and pretend it's my listening cap.
Oh.
I believe there's a lot that I can learn in being a better listener. I can reflect what's going on inside of my mind, my life, and things that I'm learning. I just spent 2 weeks and 2 days with my family in Kentucky. I had this eye operated on, and I can see. Now you don't have to say, spend time looking at eyes. I can see eyes. So the listener's cap it gave me a lot of exercise in Kentucky, coming from a big family and listening to wherever everybody's at. And it's so beautiful to learn how alike our paths are. And so I resolved to learn listening and compassion this year. Thank you, Cindy.
Wonderful definition of all the things a hat could be, or what a hat could be. Next. Satish. First the handshake, then and then sit.
They take a
Ooh.
swish.
Mm-hmm.
It's too big for me.
Now,
Please change it.
obviously you're going to be on a beach or some tropical place. What would your New Year's resolution be if you were back somewhere nice and warm and comfy this time of year?
Thank you.
Can you see them again? Can you see them again?
Show it again. Show it again.
Yeah. To get inspiration.
Tom,
Yeah.
sorry.
King size.
Good evening, Toastmasters, fellow members, viewers at home. A warm and comfy place, that's what you said. That is always my home, back in India. I don't have to go to a beach. Just at home, I can wear these shorts, have fun. But of course, in a place like Iowa, I have to search for a warm place in a month like winter months. But a cozy and comfy place always reminds me my home. So, what would I do with these shorts there? I can remember my childhood days, like from kindergarten to 8th grade, we are supposed to wear shorts, and our uniform becomes full trousers only in the 9th grade. So I was waiting to be in the 9th grade to have full trousers as my uniform. So shorts, when I see shorts, that's what first comes into my mind. The days I was longing to be in full pants. Of course, our daily clothes, other street clothes, we do use pants, but still wearing full pants to the school was a big thing. We feel big, like we are in the senior class, and from kindergarten to 12th I went to the same school, so that was a big thing. But talking about my resolution is just, I've given up taking any resolutions, making any resolutions, because I like to resolve as and when it comes. Thank you,
Very
Cindy.
good.
Go.
Hey,
Ah, come on down, please.
Yo, the magic man.
You can pick something that someone's already pulled out, or you can try something new that no
You
one's
blew a
seen.
rabbit.
He likes magic.
Get the rabbit.
Blew a rabbit.
Want the there.
Okay, go ahead and take out what's inside.
Okay.
Ah.
How is the camera going to help you discover and fulfill your New Year's resolutions?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies, fellow Toastmasters. One of my resolutions for this year
Have more
is
fun.
to do some traveling. To go see places. To record memories of all the fun places that I can see. Hot places, cold places. I like to make more conscious this year about the food that I'm gonna be eating. I bought one of these on eBay for $300. I thought it was an excellent buy. $300? You can't beat it. At least that's one of my resolutions. I can travel to any hot place. Take pictures. That is one of my resolutions for these years. So I can grow as a human being. So I can become smarter. So I can meet new people and see more places. That is definitely something that I got in my mind with a thinking cap. So I can travel the world, travel as much as I can, and that will be my resolution for this year that we just began.
Of course, he's going to do some serious walking with those beautiful boots he has on. Yes. All right. Stephanie, are you the...
I'm the evaluator.
Oh, okay. How about Art? You want to come up, Art? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yes, yes.
Try something here or pick the last item from the bag.
Oh, beautiful.
Perfect.
Perfect. Going to make some music this year with some wind chimes and your resolution? Your New Year's. How's that going to help you achieve your New Year's resolution?
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Good evening, Toastmasters, viewers at home. This wind chime, to me, is about serenity and listening and silence more than doing. My New Year's resolution has been to take care of this physical body with 7 or more hours of sleep a night, something I've been missing for many years. In fact, a habit of 20 years standing is getting 6 or less. And that has consequences, which I'm not liking. The resolution has been to take care of this physical body that I've been given, to exercise it more, to stay warm in the winter by actually being more physically active rather than looking for a higher setting on the thermostat, to exercise 2 to 3 times a day, get the blood moving, and to take all the opportunities for serenity and rest that I've been denying to myself. So I hereby resolve to get a wind chime up before the spring comes to remind me of what I've just spoken about.
You got John Loris.
John!
Come on now!
Ah.
Yo!
Have fun.
Okay,
Pick
thank you
something.
very much.
Let me see. How would you open this?
No.
They're almost fit.
Almost good.
Okay, and the question
And the
is?
question is, we'll go ahead and pick something
Okay,
that will help you achieve your New Year's resolution.
my New Year's resolution.
Yes,
Thank you.
That's what you're going to do. Thank you.
Golden speakers, guests, and viewers at home. I don't normally make New Year's resolutions, so this is a little difficult for me because I come from a family that's very stubborn. And when we are told to do something, we do the opposite. And I have 3 beautiful children who have inherited that trait also. So I've learned many years ago that if I make a resolution to do something for myself, I will actually do the opposite. That's how stubborn that we are. And I remember many years ago, thankfully it was many years ago, I quit smoking. And I tried everything. And what I was finding was that the desire to quit smoking was being stubbornly refused by myself. So I figured out, don't ever let the devil know what you're going to do. That's an old saying that comes from many years of people trying to effect change in themselves and others. What that does, if you don't resolve what you're going to do, then you don't have any of these hidden negative forces inside yourself trying to work against yourself. And it's very interesting. So I grabbed this hat because Vera used the hat as a listening hat, and Jesus used the hat as a thinking hat, I think it was. Right. So I will use this hat as a hat of resolve, so that whenever I see a hat now, I will understand that perhaps letting you know what you're going to do, whether it's negative or positive, can perhaps bring about the change. Perhaps. I can't get over a whole lifetime of being stubborn, but perhaps I will change. Thank you very much.
Come on up, Bert.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yo. Hi, Bert. Given the items you've seen tonight, the hat, the binoculars, and all these other little fun gadgets underneath here, or even the bathing suit.
Might fit, yeah.
Might fit. Bert.
Might. Love that.
I could wear it up here, maybe, or around here. But, yes, perish the thought. What item would you pick to help you achieve your New Year's resolutions? What item would be useful to help you accomplish those?
Thank you very much. Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, it's a pleasure to be here. If you want to make a change, transformation, you need to stir the soup. You need to stir the pot. You need to whip the cream. And the cream becomes something different after you whip it. So I love this device because it's so simple and easy to use. And it allows us to remember that we need to continue to stir the soup of our lives and make the little bitty changes that support the big vision that we have for our life. And of course, my big vision for my life this year and every year is to find a way to eliminate children growing up in poverty. It's really the biggest tragedy of our era, of our lives, and it is something that I'm teaming up with big foundations around the world to support whatever we can do to really make this change. So it's these little bitty things, a little change in your life, and a little change in your life, and a little change in your life, and I'm going to ask you to all support this endeavor, and whatever you have a resolution in your life, come together and embrace my resolution in my life. Thank you very much.
Come on up, Mr. Trainer. How are you going to use the bag to meet your New Year's resolution?
Madam Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. What we have, courtesy of the Audubon Society, if you make the appropriate contribution, is a shopping bag
with birds on it. Now, one of the things I do a lot of is birdwatch. We're at the river 7 months of the year. We see them migrate north, migrate south. But what resolution, what would I resolve to do better, to do more of, when I already do a lot of? And I realized as we were all talking, I'm going to resolve to appreciate the birds more. They are God's really beautiful creatures. And we are so lucky because we do get to see these folks all the time. The pelicans, we see them, the migration going north and south, and we see them in flocks of 100 to 200 or 300 at a time. One week one fall, we happened to be on the river when the population of blackbirds, which includes the grackles and the red-winged blackbirds and the other blackbirds, were moving south en masse. And we watched a flock that took 30 minutes to pass one spot. And it was wider than the Mississippi River, and it was undulating, but it would look like a snake. And it was in rhythm, and it was in motion, and it was just awe-inspiring. And then in the fall, when we're at the boat particularly, we get to hear the owls. Now, these are snowies. We don't see them here, but what we do have is a bunch of the natives that are also migrating. And I realized that I listened to them, but I'm really not totally appreciating them as well as I could. So the resolution that's coming from here is to resolve to be more alert and to appreciate God's creation. Adam Tabletop.
We've gone through everybody except me, and I'm going to check it out.
Or Stephanie.
Or Stephanie. But actually, yeah.
You're the last one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Evaluate
It doesn't matter. We'll evaluate you.
Come on up, Stephanie.
Nobody gets in the way.
You thought you got out of it. Well, someone's going to give you a ribbon. And it says, "Welcome to Toastmasters, where leaders are made." Now, do you have a resolution in your life that has anything to do with leadership or accomplishing your goals? Let us know.
fellow Toastmasters guests, if there are any, and viewers at home. I remember when I first came to this club and got my red ribbon. It was quite a novelty because I'd been in 2 other clubs before and they didn't give me a red ribbon. So I think just being in this club, I feel like it's going to help me to achieve my resolutions this year. I was thinking about it today and thinking about comparing it to being in Toastmasters in Chicago, where it was only every 2 weeks, and I wasn't in an advanced club as well, which I am here. So there's more opportunities here to really progress and to develop and to work on different aspects of things I'm resolving to achieve this year. One of which is to be a better speaker, obviously, but also I want to be able to go around to different places and to give talks that I hope will help them to feel motivated to change the way they celebrate. And I'm going to give a talk about that if anyone wants to come to the Advanced Speakers Club in a few weeks' time. And my resolution this year is also to write a book called Changing the Culture of Celebration. So I think I have to give thanks to Toastmasters and to this club for inspiring me to feel confident to really achieve my resolutions this year. So thank you.
Okay, that concludes table topics. Bert, can you, you don't have to read the times, but is, how
Everybody
many?
qualifies.
Everyone qualifies, that's great, that's what I
So we
wanted
got
to
Will,
Yeah.
Slobodan, Scott, Vera, Satish, Jesus, Art, John, Bert, and Tom, and Stephanie.
Okay.
Everybody but Steve.
Please,
Thanks.
thank you. And it gave people to practice their working with prop skills too.
Yeah, he's collecting.
Use that beater?
Yeah, we use a beater.
It's a collector's item.
Yeah, that looks like a
Bought it
old
for
one.
50 cents. It's
Oh,
worth a lot of money.
I know, that's a unique.
I don't know if it's worth
This is
$3,000,
for
but.
It is.
Okay.
That's only
good.
300. Yeah, it's only 300. You can't beat it.
It's a real antique from the
Yeah.
30s.
Yeah, yeah, you can
I
tell.
bought it. I knew what it was when I bought it.
Yeah, can you use it or you
Yeah.
like-
And it's ergonomic too, with the handle on the side, so you don't push it
Yeah,
down.
and there's something in the middle.
What
Do
is?
you notice
Yeah.
that?
Yes,
I saw it in Walmart.
all the pieces are covered.
I know, that's
Yeah.
unique. I've never
Yeah.
seen one like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's probably why it works so well, is because it doesn't,
It's all protected.
it's all protected.
It was an item from the 30s.
Yeah, yeah.
What
Okay.
yard sale
Okay.
in Fairfield?
So here we are. So please warmly welcome our table topics evaluator. We've got 5 minutes to get through all those people. So, I mean, instead of 2 to 3 minutes for the evaluation, because you've got so many.
Hello, Toastmasters, viewers at home. I think we all really enjoyed the use of props tonight, and I think it brought out the best in everyone's speaking abilities. I saw some people bringing out more anecdotes and more stories than I've heard them bring out before, which was great, and I really like that. And I think maybe you should think about incorporating props into your own speeches as a way to develop that even further. Can inspire you to also to use humour, which a lot of you used very well. I felt there was a lot more laughing happening, especially with people using these devices at will. And others, I was wondered if they were going to injure themselves with fans and other things. But I really enjoyed the way everyone used their props. I think everyone did a great job of that. And also I'd like to commend you on your stories, which were very interesting. So I'll just quickly run through the list, and it's quite a long list. So, Will, you used the hand beater, and you told us how you were going to get fit this year. And I like that use of your personal anecdotes, and I like the licking the cream. I could see you as a child exploring every crevice of that hand beater, which I know I've done myself. So I like that. I suppose in terms of the only thing I can think that maybe you could work on a little bit more is, well, I think everyone could do this, is just pause a little bit before you start and maybe have a little bit more of a plan and structure, and maybe try and use vocal variety a little bit more, because sometimes speaking softly and getting really loud can really give quite a bit more of an entertainment to the speech and make it a bit more interesting. Because often you're very enthusiastic. So I think that might help. And Slobodan, I enjoyed your use of the electric fan. I felt like you started off in a fun way, but then you kind of didn't have much more to follow up with that. And I think same thing, if you just pause, think about it a bit before you start, because you have the whole 30 seconds to think, and that's actually quite a long time. So I'd suggest you try that. Scott, you were next with the binoculars, and I liked the story you gave about your father and using the different senses. I thought that was great. One little thing I just picked up on that seemed to stick in my mind is you used we a lot, but I think as we saw Bert towards the end using you, I think somehow that has a bit more effect on tying it back to people. Kind of we is like the Queen, and I don't know, it's just like a little bit too inclusive, and maybe if you use the word you, it might strike home to people a little bit more. Vera, I really liked your use of the cap, and I liked hearing a little bit about your life and what you've been doing. I suppose if you could even add even a few more details about your big family. I still want to know how many are in your big family. And maybe give an example of one of the stories you heard during the last 2 weeks or some. The more details we all add, the richer and the more alive stories become, and it becomes more engaging, all these little tiny details. That's why the props are fun, because they're little details. So I think if you just add a couple more anecdotes, that'd be great. Okay, Satish, I loved your story about the shorts and becoming a man when you get to wear the long trousers. I think I had a similar thing at school too. You know, we had a different uniform when you got to the last 2 years of high school, and we were allowed to wear trousers, which girls weren't before. So I could relate to that, and I like that story a lot. I suppose the only thing I would say is that I enjoyed this story. Maybe if you could have made a little bit more of a message out of it. I know you didn't want to really get into the resolution business, but maybe if you could have just taken it and still tried to slip a message in, that might have been more powerful. Jesus, I love the way you use all the props. I love that going overboard, and I thought it really tied in really well with your desire to travel. So that was great. And you even managed to tell a joke, which was really good about the egg beater. In terms of suggestions, I suppose I felt that it was really great for most of it, and that just at the end there wasn't quite something to bring it all together. I know it's hard when it's just an impromptu speech, but if you can think a little bit before you start, maybe you can think of that last little thing, you can make it more of a punch at the end to bring it back home. Okay. Art, I really liked your use of the wind chimes and tying it back to the serenity you hope to achieve this year. And I liked also that you remembered to acknowledge your fellow Toastmasters, which a few of the others forgot to do. You don't have to do it, by the way. You did it very well at the beginning, but I might point out that for the benefit of everyone else, you don't have to start by acknowledging people. You can say something dramatic and then acknowledge your listeners. And it can be a way to also pad it out a little longer. But I didn't have many suggestions for you, Art, because I thought your tablet topic was very good. I suppose maybe a little tiny bit more structure, and that's probably all you could really add. John, the cap, I love that anecdote of the don't ever let the devil know what you're up to. I'll keep that in mind from now on. I think there was good vocal variety. I mean, I think maybe it's hard to think what else you could really improve. Maybe a bit more clarity in your message at the end, because I thought at the end you almost said you do want to do resolutions, so maybe just be a little bit clearer what you're going to say at the end. And well, I have got a lot to cover here, sorry. Bert, your talk was very good. I liked the fact that you brought home a really deep message about wanting to achieve elimination of poverty. And I like the way you included the audience by saying you. Just trying to think what else I could say to improve. I think once I get used to hearing you speak a few more times, I might be able to think of more things to suggest in terms of how to make it even better. All right, Tom, the bags is a nice story. I like the anecdote of appreciating birds, and I could see that flock of birds, and I like the way you use the different senses. I think the only thing is, well, it's hard to think really too many more things you could do to improve, but it was very good. And I'm sure there are lots of things I could improve on in mine, if I could just read Scott's handwriting. So I'm sure he'll tell me later what he thought I could improve. I'm sure I could have had more structure and taken more time to think about it. But thank you all very much. It was excellent.
Well, that was a fantastic table topic session. We had almost everybody participating, and the creativity that comes out of this group amazes me every week. It's incredible. You don't know what's going to come out of people's mouths, you know? Very interesting. But now we go to the main event, and the main event tonight will be Steve Harper giving his CC2 speech, and he'll be introduced by Tom Trainer reading the objectives.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guest viewers at home. Stephen is doing speech number 2, project number 2, called Organize Your Speech. His objectives: select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to easily follow and understand your speech. 2, make your message clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message. 3, use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to the other. 4, create a strong opening and a strong conclusion. And he's elected to go 12 to 15, and the timer will give you a signal at 12, 13 and a half, and 15 to give you the full time. Stephen Harper is also known as Reverend Stephen Harper. He is an ordained minister. He's a transcendental meditation instructor. He's an entrepreneur, a father, and a professor of business administration at Maharishi University of Management. Tonight he will speak from his extensive personal research on spirituality, which has taken him to over 37 countries, experiencing the practices of all the major world religions. His subject is taken from a chapter titled in his upcoming book to be published soon called Heaven is Here and Now. Please welcome Reverend Stephen Harper.
I was sitting at a table at a cafe on a square in a high mountain village on the island of Crete in the Mediterranean on a quiet Sunday morning. Absolutely nothing was happening, and there was nothing to do. My mind seemed to stop, and I went into a deep state of peace. It just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper. It seemed to go beyond my mind, and all of a sudden I was nothing but unbounded silence. And that peace that was beyond my comprehension turned into a love that was equally incomprehensible, infinite, and unconditional. And that in turn turned into joy and a fulfillment so complete. I felt as if every desire I had ever had or ever could have had already been fulfilled. I was experiencing heaven on earth. Mr. Toastmaster, golden speakers, guests, and viewers at home. Tonight, you will learn why the references to heaven in the New Testament refer primarily to a heaven experience that is available to everyone here and now, as opposed to the conventional view of heaven as a place where people go after they die. Now, the conventional idea of heaven that is found in every religion is that after people die, they go to a paradise. And I'm not going to say that this is wrong. Many people have reported near-death experiences where they've been pronounced dead and come back hours or even days later and stated that they experienced heaven. And they've written many books about them. You can read these books in the bookstores. I like Life After Life or Heaven is for Real, if you would like to learn more about those experiences. But there is another definition of the word heaven, and it is the definition that Jesus Christ used most in the New Testament. And that is a definition of a heaven which is available here and now. A heaven that lies where? Where does heaven lie? Where did Jesus? Within, exactly. So this implies it's already here, where we are, in us. So it is imminent. And Jesus also said, the kingdom of heaven is at
At hand.
At hand, very good. We have some people that know the Bible here. So this implies that it is within reach, something we can have, something we can grasp. Not somewhere where we go, but something that everyone can have, not something that takes a long time, doesn't take a lifetime. You don't have to be a saint. You don't have to work at it and live a life of religiosity. It's something that simply requires a willingness to seek. Seek and ye shall find. It's just a change in perspective, a change in perception. William Blake, the famous poet, put it this way: if the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite, with a capital I. For man has closed himself up till he sees all things through narrow chinks of his cavern. This metaphor of a cavern is the same metaphor that Socrates used to describe a person becoming enlightened. He said that people are like cavemen in a dark cave. They can't see very well. Only a little light filters through. But the process through education of becoming enlightened is like coming out into the light and seeing everything as it really is. Filled with absolute goodness, absolute truth, absolute beauty. This is a change in perception. And this is what Christ is suggesting that we do in this lifetime. Because he said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and
Then
all else will be added unto you. In this life, everything that we need for our happiness now will be added unto us if we seek the kingdom of heaven here and now. And what is this change of perception all about? What is it that it's an ability to see that we're not seeing normally? The omnipresent God of Jesus Christ, of Judaism, of Islam, which is the same as the Atma of Hinduism, the Anatma of Buddhism, the Tao of Taoism, the Great Spirit of the Native American religion. That concept exists in every religion throughout the world. Everywhere I've been, I've found it. And this experience is available here and now. And this is an experience of something which is non-physical. This idea of God, the I Am of the Old Testament, it cannot be seen, tasted, touched, felt, or heard. This is very parallel to what modern physics has discovered, that the world we perceive, where time and space appear to be constant, and are filled with objects or atoms, which are particles or things, is completely wrong. Einstein said that matter is nothing but energy. E equals mc squared, meaning that energy equals matter times the constant of the speed of light squared. But when quantum mechanics was discovered, it was discovered that the subnuclear particles that make up these things we thought were objects, protons and neutrons, are just waves of energy. But they're not even real waves of energy. They're virtual waves of energy. Niels Bohr, one of the founding fathers of quantum mechanics, said that everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. We are not seeing reality. This is a human body that has evolved for so many millions of years, but we know that our senses of perception are very limited. We don't see most light wave ranges. We don't hear most frequencies of sound. We can't see radio waves, gamma waves. There is so much that we can't see. We have an approximation of reality. And a very few highly evolved people have seen that there is a reality that quantum physics has identified as a unified quantum field that is omnipresent, that is non-manifest, but that empty space itself vibrating is what gives rise to these virtual energy waves that appear to be real at the macroscopic level. So we're not seeing the intelligence that has created all of this and the energy that is in every atom. We're not seeing how it all works together in harmony and order and very kind to life, because it is these laws of nature coming from this unified field that have created galaxies, solar systems, planets, ecosystems, and life that we are experiencing. Working very consistently, very orderly, anything but random. And these laws of nature working exactly the same from the beginning of the universe and will for all time. Everywhere and at every point in space and time. But it's not enough to know that this reality is a heaven created by an infinite intelligence, infinitely loving and present within every point of space, both within us and all around us. We need to experience it, because only the experience of this kingdom of heaven will satisfy our desire for complete happiness, fulfillment, and joy. So how do we experience it? Now we'll talk about some of the many ways that I have discovered that help to experience it. We won't have time to go into them all, but these include things such as meditation, prayer, worship, healing, both physical and psychological, innocence, gratitude, and many, many more that I don't have time to talk about. But every technique that I have tested has cultured an awareness of this invisible or silent ocean of love, is how I experience it. And it can happen very quickly, very unexpectedly, when I least expect it, in innocence, when I'm trusting most, or when I have a simple intention to look for it and seek it. I'd like to talk about the three most important techniques that I've used. The first is meditation. I practice meditation many hours every day in a large group. This is very valuable, and I also practice prayer whenever I can remember during the day. St. Francis was known for practicing silent meditation for about 14 hours a day, every day for 40 days when he went on retreat, every year. St. Paul suggested that we pray without ceasing. So I found these techniques to be the backbone of my experience. The second experience that I'd like to share is worship. And I've experienced worship in every religion, in synagogues, temples, mosques, churches of every denomination, in beautiful places in nature, in nowhere in particular. And every form of worship that I've experienced of every religion, for me, produces a powerful experience of the presence of God. This was not true before I started meditating. And now it is true pretty much universally whenever I have that experience. The third technique or group of techniques that I would like to talk about is simple, innocent curiosity, a willingness to seek, to learn, to read Holy Scripture, to listen to the wisdom and advice and experiences of those who have experienced enlightenment, to discuss experiences with other people, and to listen to your own inner voice and learn to discriminate between the chatter of the ego and the guidance from that omniscient, loving intelligence. There are those who can guide you in learning these techniques. But most of all, I think that just having an intention, just being willing to seek, just being willing to investigate, to see, could this world that we're experiencing, could it be perceived differently? The famous monk Thomas Merton wrote the popular book, The Seven-Story Mansion, and in it he describes a spontaneous experience during a mass in Havana, Cuba, of having the presence of God come to his physical awareness, which he described as an experiential or experimental experience. He said, in conclusion, I think I'll read the quote. Heaven is right here in front of me. Heaven, comma, heaven, exclamation point. And that is the only word that I think is worthy to describe this experience, even though it is inadequate, because there are so many facets to this wonderful experience. So tonight, we have considered the possible meanings of the word heaven, the conventional meaning, the meaning that Christ used to describe it as something that we could experience here and now. And we've talked about techniques for how we can experience that ourselves. This experience, this change in perception, to be able to perceive what is already here, what is already present, is so marvelous, so wonderful, that I can only encourage you all to do everything you can to have that experience. Mr. Toastmaster, Golden Speakers, heaven on earth awaits you here and now. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Now, 2 minutes to evaluate. Okay, evaluation time is over. I would like to now introduce Satish, who is our general evaluator. Satish.
Thank you all. Now we are moving to the next section, as Toastmaster told, to the evaluation section. And so now today we have only one prepared speech to be evaluated, and that's going to be by Tom, and he's going to evaluate the speech by Steve. Thank you, Tom.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow speakers, golden speakers, viewers at home, but most especially Stephen. Number 2, see a big progress. I'm going to go through, I'm going to use the manual. It's one of the best ways for you to get feedback, because I've written in your manual, and this would be what you take home, and then you can watch it on your DVD and get the gist of it. Secondly, or thirdly, what I liked. You used audience participation at the beginning to pull people in. You asked questions. You asked them to follow your quotes. You did a great job. You kept doing that. You did it a couple of times to get us started. You then, I'm going to go through your speech value. I gave you 5, which is excellent. Preparation, 5. For this level, you did great. Opening, 5, because it was a great personal story. All of the famous teachers told stories. What is the Bible? A collection of stories. Got it. The body. I gave you 4, because what you migrated from was very personal to impersonal. You started a little bit more lecturing and less personal stories. I will share with you some of the people who have won the Toastmaster #1 speaker will tell you. A story should be 2 minutes long or less. And in the story is the point. And then you summarize the point with a quotation that synopsizes your 2-minute story. Less than 1 sentence. Very short. See, that's how big teachers make the point. There's a second reason to do that. The mind only can listen effectively for 2 minutes. And then it has to dump from short-term cash to medium-term. And it takes about 10 seconds to do that. In that 10 seconds, people lose what you're saying. Give them a chance to flush so that you feel it. So that's why the 2-minute goes on. And you'll see the world-class speakers will tell you a 2-minute story, and they'll come up with a quote. What you do at the end is, if you have 5 2-minute stories, you have 5 quotations, and they become your conclusion. And you bring them back together. You weave this together. Your conclusion, what would I tell you? Add a personal story to make your point. Transitions were good. Conclusions were good. 4, above average. What could you have done differently? Put your quotes on the table, not in your pocket. Or if you have two quotes, one in this pocket, one in this pocket. You spend 30 seconds flipping through. Not necessary. A real world-class speaker. If you want to do a quote, put it right out here so you can get it real quick. Second, vocal variety. Now that is an assignment you're going to do later, but I'm going to bring it up now because you're already speaking a lot professionally as Reverend Stephen Harper and as an instructor. Slow down. Speed up. Loud. Soft. More pauses. I am mirroring for you what I am telling you. It's called show and tell. One question you could have asked, do I have to die? Pause. Suck them in. Do you have to die? And then you, whatever, weave it in, because it's a real important question. What's everybody's major fear? They don't want to die. That's what I really like. Great stories in the beginning. A lot of good content, a lot of good quotes. You have good eye contact. I'm going to tell you how it can be better. One thought to one person, one time. Focus in on a whole chunk. Feed them a chunk of data. Don't flit, because that's what you were doing. You're really good at it. But flitting kind of is like, it's kind of like flirting. You never get to home base. You never get a home run. You don't get to the bottom line. When you connect 1-1-1, you'll have moved up in to the All-Stars. Mr. General Evaluator.
Now, the timer.
I'm over 10.
Do both evaluators qualified?
Both were over time.
And understandably so.
Okay. So then it's now my turn as a general evaluator.
Do your store.
Yeah, look at Marianne. and
People
I'll
first.
count.
All your reports first. Is that?
Yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, now it's time to listen to the reports by our role players. And timer, could we please have a 1 minute report from you?
Let me start the watch. Table topics. Will Burns, 1 minute 41 seconds. Slobodan, 1 minute 22 seconds. Scott, 2 minutes 13 seconds. Vera, 1:15. Satish, 1:37. Jesus packed a lot in 1:22.
Yeah.
Art Atkinson, 1:39. John Loris, 2:12. Bert, 1:45. Tom Trainer, 2:13. Stephanie Chambers, 1:29. Our main speaker tonight, Steve Harper, 13 minutes and 1 second. The table topics evaluation, Stephanie, 8 minutes and 3 seconds. And Tom Trainer, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. And that's the report in 52 seconds.
Now it's time for the R counter to give his report. You get a minute.
Oh, that's fast.
The names that I'm calling right now: Cindy Trainer, Will Burns, Scott, Satish, my bad, take Satish back. Art Atkinson, Tom Trainer, Stephen Harper, clean slate. Slobodan, 2 A's, 2 arms. Bear Elizabeth, 1 arm and 1 soul. John Loris, 4 A's and 1 soul. Stephanie, 2 A's, 2 souls, and 1 and. That's my report for tonight.
Yay!
Also 52 seconds.
now a report from the grammarian, art and
Yay!
Toastmasters resolve was popular this evening. Jesus once, John once, Cindy twice, Will once, Vera twice, Tom twice. Resolution was all over the place. Virtually everybody used that. Cindy being the leader with over 5, I stopped counting. Memorable statements. Jesus, $300, you can't beat it. John, don't ever let the devil know what you're going to do. Scott, and I think this was the most magnificent statement of the evening, I think about what I've let my dad become in me. I love that. Bert, eliminate children growing up in poverty. And Steve, your description, which I think I've misquoted, but at the cafe, absolutely nothing was happening. I thought that was really a way to grab our attention.
You also had a nice one. You also had a nice quote. I wrote something.
Yes, you wrote down serenity, listening, and silence.
Yeah.
That's my report.
Yo!
Time to listen to a joke from a joke master. Slow down.
Yo, yo, yo.
A math teacher asked little Jimmy, if you see 3 birds, one of your birds, on a telephone wire, you take your small BB gun, and shoot one of them. How many birds will stay on the wire? And the little Jimmy says, none. Okay, Jimmy, that's not correct. Well, I'll help you. You have 3 birds standing on the wire. You shoot one of them. How many stay on the wire? None. Jimmy, that's wrong. Why do you say that? I showed you. Say, well, if you shoot one, the other 2 will fly away. They get scared. So, teacher says, well, I cannot like your logic, your thinking, but it's still wrong. So little Jimmy goes to his place and says, teacher, may I ask you something? I said, go ahead. 3 women are eating ice cream. One of them is licking it, one of them is biting it, and one of them is like sucking. Who of these women is married? She says, the one that bites it. Wrong. The one with the wedding ring. But I like your logic.
Whoa.
Now it's time for me to do the general evaluation of the whole meeting. So first of all, I would like to thank Veera today for stepping up and having the room ready for us. She's been tirelessly working for us, in fact, to get the room ready for the past 1.5 years. And now she's not even the sergeant at arms, but she's replaced one and came forward and helped us. Thank you so much. And the marathon tabletop picks was excellent today, Cindy. A big round of applause for Cindy. I really thought you got very creative there in putting the same question in different ways based on the different objects each people picked. So I thought you were really very creative there. And I think you really got very creative in picking the red ribbon and putting a question on that also. That was also very excellent. And to our evaluators, Stephanie, wow, that was excellent. I think it was totally 13 or 14 people you evaluated, and in fact you had a suggestion for every single person, not every single person. 3 you didn't have, but you did mention. I don't have a suggestion, so that was nice. And you also mentioned the good positive points of each speaker. So I thought that was a real elaborate and nice evaluation. And I don't have a suggestion because I learned a lot from this evaluation. Thank you for that. And again, Tom's evaluation of another pro speaker, it was excellent. You, in fact, even all the suggestions you made on his vocal variety, you demonstrated how to speak loud, slow down, pause, and even you literally showed. You can put your index cards here, which was nice. Pockets. It was like, it's still it's in my picture mind. So I think that would have helped not only the speaker, everyone else here. And if I have to have a suggestion for you, I was hoping you would also give an example of a true story and how to summarize, like you could have picked one of his. Again, I'm telling this back to you because I can't do it myself now. But I expected an example there. Okay, this part you could have summarized with this quote, something like that. So that was, on the whole, it was a great meeting. I really enjoyed the marathon, table topics, and the wonderful speech. Thank you all.
We've come to the dessert portion of the evening, where we give the awards for most fantastic in our groups. So, tonight, for the best speaker and his number 2 speech is Steve Harper.
Yo!
There you go. And you get to
Thank
take
you.
that home for a little while and bring it back.
Thank you.
And drum roll, please, because we have a winner in the table topics. That winner is Jesus. I turn the meeting now over to our illustrious president, Will Burns. Thank you.
Yo!
Thank you, John. I will just mention in closing here, before we do finish up, that we have a new manual here right back to us. This is not a competent communicator. This is not a leadership manual. This is a manual for table topics. So all of you future table topics masters, if you don't have the creativity that Cindy did to start out a great one, there are 50 in here.
Wow.
And this will be with the materials, or you can ask to check it out. Okay, I will close here, but first I just ask that each and every one of you, I thank you first and foremost for coming out tonight after our 2-week absence and sabbatical.
Well, did we get 4 people to Des Moines on Saturday?
Not for Des Moines, no. But we're going this weekend.
Okay. That'll complete our 10th call.
Yes.
What's the speaker?
Is everybody clear on the
Yep,
significance
training.
of that? It's worth mentioning that we have, for Distinguished Club program, we have every criterion met so far, except that 4 officers need to get training ASAP, and this weekend is the next opportunity, in order for us to complete all 10 things and have a chance at being the first club in Iowa to do so.
Ooh.
So yes.
We've only done 7 years in a row.
Yeah. This is not the first time we've come to this juncture.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it happens that getting all the officers necessary to trainings is the last thing that you can do, because we can't just pick a day and have a training. We have to plug into trainings that are scheduled by the area and division. So this coming weekend, we want to support all the officers. The candidates for going is Will and Vera and Jesus and Rahul, our new VP of Education, with whom you should make good friends if you haven't already. And I'm missing
Jeff
Shipley, our new
VP of
VP of PR.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. I ask that each one of you as members, thank you for being out here tonight. Please spend a few minutes here, come on out, just help tear down. And with that,